Despite being up a game in this series, the Miami Heat are still massive underdogs to get to the NBA Finals ahead of the Boston Celtics. But after that very impressive Game 1 performance, let's preview how we think Game 2 is going to go down here today on the Board YouTube channel. The 8 seed Miami Heat are 3 wins away from getting to the NBA Finals after their incredible second half comeback and taking care of the Celtics in the clutch. So, Pips, I remember Monday on our show, you thought this would be an easy series for Boston, but then on our Game 1 preview, you all of a sudden switched up and said, this is actually not going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. And the Miami Heat made this one difficult for sure. So, 3 wins away from Miami. What did you make of this Game 1? What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this will be a very interesting series. I don't think we, throughout the entire playoffs, are saying Miami Heat 3-point shooting is not sustainable. Then we get into the next game, we say it again. And then we go into the next game, we say it again. And then first game against the Boston Celtics, they shot for 50% from the three. And now I have some data which is kind of interesting. I saw someone share it on the Twitter
Let's
feed,
hear it. Let's hear it.
and that's kind of amazing. But teams that came off the game seven of a game seven series are 33 and 53 in game one since 1988. That's 38% win rate. So teams coming off a 7-game series are winning 38% of the games. So that's kind of huge. I was kind of shocked when I saw that. So
Maybe
Boston
it's,
being,
I feel like maybe it's the better teams don't go to 7. So like the Game 7 team is
yeah,
worse.
sure. I know it's kind of probably goes that way. But then 8.5 spread for Miami Heat that had more rest coming into this series, and they did against the best team in the league. As we said, Bucks in 5. Same thing against the Knicks, and now starting with a win against the Boston Celtics. Now probably the best team left in the playoffs. So it's kind of crazy, and it's kind of crazy to see line opening at 8.5 for the first game. I said like that's looks too much. They ended up winning it. Now also over 5.5 on the series, as we said on the last show,
That's
kind of
looking
looks
really good
great.
now.
Yeah, so that everything looks great. So kind of a good start with our previews. So yeah, I like the way the Miami Heat played. It's Jimmy Butler, and now we finally get good contribution from Bam Adebayo, and then 15 points Gabe Vincent, 15 points Mark Struz, 15 points Keller Martin, 15 points Kyle Lowry. That's kind of huge.
Yeah, it had to be demoralizing for the Celtics late in that game. Like he'd get kicked out to Strus. He'd hit a massive shot. And then Martin had a massive, massive 3-pointer right in front of the Celtics bench late in the game. And Gabe Vincent had a massive 3 at the top of the 3-point line late in the game. Like they just had so many guys come through. And even like let's shout out Kevin Love. What, a couple threes was it in the third quarter as the Miami Heat started to build that comeback? There was like a transition and he stepped back for 3, even though it was a 2-on-1. Like the shot making was just unbelievable from this Miami Heat team. And I'm no longer going to say it's not sustainable. They're going to shoot the lights out for the rest of the playoffs, I think.
And also the 3-point making crazy, and then we got so late into the game, and then Jimmy Butler pulls out from like 30 plus feet contested,
Yeah.
falling down, and he makes it and kind of seals the game. Yeah, that's the Jimmy Butler way to do it. Kind
Yep.
of everyone
Yep.
was like, wow, everyone was blown away with that shot, but it's kind of it's starting to get expected from Jimmy Butler.
No,
It's
it's
kind of
still remarkable. You still have
yeah,
to be like this, like what is going on? It's like watching
yeah,
Jokic.
yeah.
You're bewildered, but you're like it's just what he does, right?
It's almost it's him. Like he is him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Celtics side of things because they had a really good second quarter. Looked like they were just going to run them over, especially at the start of the third quarter. But the Miami Heat scored 46 points in the third, which, by the way, is the most points the Miami Heat have ever scored in a single quarter of a playoff game in franchise history. Pips, can you guess how many timeouts Joe Mazzula called in the
Yeah.
46-point third quarter?
Yeah, I kind of know because I was I was confused, but zero.
To any viewer out there, it was 0. The Celtics started, I think, the fourth quarter on a 7-0 run, and 94 seconds in, Spoelstra called a timeout to stop the run. I mean, look, sure, trust your guys to figure it out, but when you get outscored by 21 in the third quarter, should probably call a timeout at some certain point. When a team is shooting 50% from three, and actually, I don't know the halftime splits, they probably shot well above 50 in the second half. Should probably call timeout, but that never came from Joe Mazzula. So it's more game management issues from the rookie head coach here. Let's talk
Yeah,
about. Oh, sorry. Go
I,
ahead.
I will I will say like Boston Celtics did kind of shot well in the third quarter. They were 45% from the field and 38% from the three. Got 7 free throws,
Oh, they
but
were fine.
that
It was momentum. The Heat were just
yeah
they had all
they
the
had
energy, all the
they,
momentum,
yeah
had all the
they had
hustle,
Max
and the
Strus
Celtics couldn't
played those
match.
three. So yeah, it's kind of so they had four more offensive rebounds and they had three less turnovers, so seven more possession
Mhm.
in the third quarter, and then they made every shot. So that's kind of absurd to for the and it the the run was crazy and yeah, to not call a single timeout and just change something is very confusing for this level of basketball and this deep into the season. And I honestly don't understand why. So Grant Williams, we spoke about him a lot, and he was out of rotation, and they played
Yeah,
Peyton Pritchard 12 minutes.
yeah.
I'll
I
say,
was certainly surprised.
and in these 12 minutes he was on the floor, he made Miami offense so easy. Like he gave them a way out every single time because okay, we try something, doesn't work, let's go to Pritchard. And every single time it was like this, and yeah, I understand. So you have Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, and Smart sharing the minutes for two positions. You don't need Peyton Pritchard. Like just give more minutes to Malcolm Brogdon or Smart or White. So Derek White played only 20 minutes
Yeah,
in
that's
this game,
insanity.
and he was 4 for 6, 3 from 5 from threes. Why don't you just play him 30 minutes instead of playing Peyton Pritchard? Like
Yeah,
I
that was
was
confusing.
confused. I was honestly confused.
Me as
So
well. Decision
yeah,
making was very strange in the second half from the Boston Celtics. Let the Miami Heat back in the game and didn't do enough to stop that. So a bit of that's on coaching, or a lot of that's on coaching. A good amount of that's on the players as well. Credit to them in the first half. They used the size of Rob Williams pretty well. I was pretty impressed by how he played first half. The lob threat was there. The Miami Heat couldn't really hang, even a little bit into the third quarter as well. You had Jason Tatum making shots. You had Jaylen Brown playing well. But I mean, Brogdon as well was great. But second half, as the momentum started to kick in, it was a close game late. And we spoke about this ahead of game one that when it's going to be a close game late, it's going to be trading shots. And when the Celtics are moving the ball, getting everybody involved, that's when their offense is at their best. We saw that in the first half. But then as they start to panic in the third quarter, they go back to the old habits of trying to force stuff in isolation, and it didn't work. And then you get to the fourth quarter. As much as Jimmy Butler was making shots, I talked about Vincent hitting a three. I talked about Strus, Martin hitting threes. The ball was still moving around. But for the Celtics, it was very isolation driven. And it resulted in a turnover by Jason Tatum. Shout out to Max Strus. I don't know if you remember, at the defensive stand right at the top of the three-point line. Jimmy Butler got the steal. But the commentator's like, oh, what a steal by Jimmy Butler. Max Strus kept Jason Tatum in front of him, locked him up. And then next play, Tatum called for the travel. I don't know if it was next play, but Jason Tatum called for a travel. Then I believe it was the next play, another travel on the up and down in the three, which was contested by, I think it was Martin. So 3 late turnovers by Tatum. I saw Mazzula kind of rinsed him in the timeout afterwards, but it's remarkable how much the Celtics crumbled in that clutch compared to the Heat, who just had all that momentum and it fueled them to the score would suggest a comfy win, but it was like a 10-point game near the end.
Yeah, and also so many different halves by Marcus Smart. He had 10 assists in the first half and only 1 assist in the second half. So that kind of shows how they were
Yeah.
playing in the first half and how they were playing in the second half.
And Marcus Smart had 1 field goal attempt in the first half as well, and then he took 6 in the second half.
Yeah, and I think they like Marcus Smart with 1 field goal attempt when it's possible. Yeah. So yeah,
what
and also I kind of think Spoelstra did a mess in some part with not playing at Bema Adebayo. So Jimmy Butler played 43 minutes and Bema Adebayo played 37 minutes, 6 minutes difference. Bema Adebayo was plus 18 and Jimmy Butler was plus 5. So like their defense can't stay on their own without Bema Adebayo on the court.
Yeah, he's so good.
Whenever Bema
We
Adebayo
disrespect him sometimes, but he is very good.
Yeah, so like now we get contribution on offense, 21 points, 5 assists. Finally, great from Adebayo, but throughout the entire playoffs, he was amazing on defense. That's like top 5 in the playoffs entirely, Bam Adebayo. And when he sits, very difficult from Miami to defend. There were so many easy layups, free throw trips, and broke the defense getting broke down and stuff. Without Bam Adebayo, but with Bam Adebayo, they were great on that half. But the improvement from Miami Heat must be on defense. They gave up so many layups out to broken plays and not trying that hard on defense. Bam Adebayo being very far out on the perimeter. He needs to be more into the protection of the rim type of game. So yeah, I think Celtics just need to play like the first half, and Miami needs to just do better job at defending the rim and letting them settle for like jumpers instead of going for layups.
Yeah. Let's have a look here at the lines for this game. We're going to reference BetStamp once again. As always, if you guys need to sign up for more sports books, please use our affiliate link in the description, betstamp.app/theboard. By line shopping and ensuring you're getting the best price, you're always making sure that you win more on your winners and you lose less on your losers here. But despite the Celtics losing this game, the spread has actually gone further in favoring them. They are mostly -9 across the board for this one. There are some 8.5s here at the time of recording, but a 9-point spread is what we see. The over-under for the game has jumped from about 210.5 to 215.5 as a result of like the 150 points or 140 points from that game one. So I thought it'd be a low-scoring series, a slow series. Game one certainly would suggest that is not the case, but ultimately, what do you expect to see to finish off here differently? What do you expect to see different for this game two, and who do you expect to come through with the win?
I do think Boston Celtics will kind of do better this game, but still, I think 9 points spread is kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't think Miami will shoot that well. They made so many huge shots, and you
said that before. You said that before.
Yeah, I don't think it's 50% sustainable. I think 40 maybe, 38 to 40 maybe, but 50 like out of this world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Boston needs to win the second game, obviously, and I think they will. But also 9 points is also kind of huge. But I think Miami was like, okay, we won on the road. Like, I think next game they will play different. So
yeah, I think Boston will come out and play better from the start. I actually have already bet this, but I like the first half spread for Boston -4.5. I know you say it's kind of big, but I suspect a lot of 5.5s on the board out there as well. 4.5 is a good number. I suspect Boston will come out and like this is a must-win game pretty much. You can't lose both at home to start a series. So I suspect this will factor in. Not something that I usually reference for betting. Not going to reference here, but a lot of even sharper bettors do look at, I think they call it the snake, where like if a home team loses game one, they just have a jump in game two. And maybe that's why we're seeing the spread move up to 9, even though the Celtics lost game one. Not something I would typically reference, but I do feel as though the Celtics are the better team. If they play to their strengths, Miami want to take that away. But if Boston play to their strengths, like they're going to win this series. They can still win this series in 6 games, but it's on them to rise up to the occasion. So we'll have an interesting game for sure. I don't like the Celtics, so I had a lot of fun watching that second half unfold, but I still think the Celtics will win this series. How about you?
Yeah, I think Celtics in 6 or 7, but Miami showed that they could win.
Oh yeah, Miami. I mean,
Yeah, not the way we saw like minus 150 for we saw minus 500 for Celtics. Now it's more realistically put. So they yeah,
Boston is still.
I
I can't find an exact series price, but the Celtics are still very, very heavily favored to
yeah.
come out of this series. So don't quite agree with that. I mean, I bet Miami to win this series before game one. I think if I don't know, I don't know if there's any price out there, but if you can still get like a 300 number on the Heat, I think that's worth it. You have them up a game and clearly showed that they can give Boston a lot of problems. So we'll see how this one shakes out. We appreciate everybody tuning in to our game previews once again. Please make sure you dropped a like if you did enjoy. Please make sure you are subscribed to the Board YouTube channel if you want to see more content just like it all throughout the rest of the playoffs. And make sure you rate and review 5 stars if you're listening in audio form. We will see you next time for another playoff preview.